नमस्ते गुरुजी। जय गुरुजी महाराज। जय गुरुजी सत्संगत जी। सॉरी। मल्टीलिंगुअल ग्लोबल सेवादार टीम की तरफ से आप सबका हार्दिक स्वागत है। आज एक बार फिर हम सब धन्य हैं। एक बार फिर गुरुजी महाराज की डिवाइन पुस्तक जो कि राहुल अंकल ने लिखी थी, गुरुजी लाइफ एंड स्पिरिचुअलिज्म का सेकंड नेक्स्ट सेशन आज पढ़ा जाएगा। आज सुरिंदर मखीजा अंकल जी इसको रीड करेंगे। अंशु अत्रेजा जी और छबिलेंद्र जी मॉडरेशन में हैं। मैं सुरिंदर मखीजा जी के बारे में बताना चाहूंगा संगत जी को। सुरिंदर मखीजा जी, डिस्पाइट हिज impressive personal credential, prefers to identify himself as one of Guruji's blessed Sangat. An alumni of IIT Kharagpur, XLRI Jamshedpur and IRRI Manila, Philippines, Surinder Makhija ji worked in the private sector. He was diagnosed with advanced stage of prostate cancer in year 2004. He came under the divine Sharan of Guruji Maharaj. Guruji not only cured Makhija ji of cancer, he blessed Poonam Makhija ji, the family immensely, with good health and professional growth. Now I'll like to read about Anshu Atreja ji. Anshu Atreja ji, holding a master's degree in English and a Bachelor of Education, is basically an English teacher who started her career as a lecturer at DAV College, Nakodar, Punjab. She loves to groom youngsters in finesse in language and literature. She loves her creative pursuits in fashion and dance to add vibrancy and balance to life. She came to Guruji's fold in the year 2019. And now we all know about Dr. Chhabilendra Rauji, who had authored this divine book, Guruji Life and Spiritualism. He was fondly called Rahul by Guruji Maharaj. Raul uncle had darshan of Guruji Maharaj during his Jalandhar days. He is a retired civil servant and presently member Central Administrative Tribunal CAT, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया। संगत जी, अब ज्यादा समय ना लेते हुए मैं मखीजा अंकल जी से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा, प्लीज आज के सेशन को इनिशिएट करें। आज की जो रीडिंग है, जो असाइन रीडिंग है, उसको पढ़ें प्लीज। ओवर टू यू मखीजा अंकल। जय गुरु जी।
जय गुरु जी। संगत जी, सबसे पहले तो मल्टीलिंगुअल प्लेटफॉर्म का वासन अंकल का बहुत बहुत शुक्राना, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि उन्होंने रावल अंकल की जो एक बहुत ही एलिवेटेड डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ गुरुजी इन द फॉर्म ऑफ ए बुक मेरे को पढ़ने का और डिस्कस करने का मौका दिया। I have been living in a false illusion that what I know about Guruji and what I heard about Guruji from other people was most of it that I should know. But after reading this beautiful, divine, and spiritual composition of Guruji's Sangat, I feel deeply honored, I feel belittled, and I want to thank Rahul Uncle for elevating me and my understanding of what Guruji is all about, what spiritualism is associated with Guruji. Some of the contents of chapter 5, Sangat and Satsang, align with my thoughts, but not all of it. As I mentioned that I have been a very, very ignorant person. For example, whenever in the past I started my satsang, I always started with the kind of a plea that this is a satsang. That means सत का संग है जो मैं गुरु जी के बारे में जो सत्संग कर रहा हूँ संगत के सामने. There is nothing but truth. And I also wanted to add, I also added most of the times that there can be a minor discrepancy in the form of the timelines that I don't recall very clearly. So as far as the description of satsang in my mind is concerned, I was halfway there. I took the sat as what I thought was the blessings of Guruji on me and my family. Guruji always said, खड़ा हो जा, सत्संग कर, 2 लाइनें कर, which I took that he didn't want me to beat about the bush. He didn't want me to add anything to my own experiences. He didn't want me to add anything to the blessings, not discuss it, but simply narrate my experiences, the blessings of Guruji on me and my family. But in this book, the very first paragraph actually enlarges my vision of Sat as a supreme truth. Of course, I know that Sat is a supreme truth, but I always took satsang in the material sense as what I have just described now. And Sangat is something which Rahul uncle has beautifully described in the following pages. I would like to, Rahul uncle has really, the narrative that he has built, the contents he has so painstakingly put on paper in a very divine and spiritual way. He has quoted Osho, he has quoted scriptures, he has quoted Shiv Puran, Sant Kabir, Nanakji, of course, forms a basic tenet of Guruji's teaching. And that makes it a very in-depth analysis and a very soul-searching experience by reading what he has written. He quotes that satsang is associated with the inner quality of sattva, the sat or sattva, which is goodness and purity. That means we do not attach any false narrative to it. We stick to the truth. But in the larger and higher sense, what Rahul uncle has said, that satsang is associated with inner quality of sattva, which is one of the 3 gunas. And he further quotes Osho. Satsang meant the company of oneself, of the truth, and that the truth was not to be found outside. Now, this is where actually Rahul uncle very beautifully describes this Sat as internal and external, the Sangat as internal as external. But again, I go back to Osho Satsang Meditation Center says that satsang meant the company of oneself, of the truth, and the truth was not to be found outside. It is inside you, and if you wish to attain, and seek your own company, In other words, cultivate the truth that you are the divinity and seek the self within you. Now, that actually is the definition of satsang as an internal satsang, as an individual activity that one can perform in any part of the world or any part of his house or any place that one is present. But Raul Uncle also goes further on page 145, saying that satsang by fellowship of like-minded people or group satsangs. And how beautifully he describes it, that satsang as a group activity refers to the following fellowship or congregation of group of like-minded people seeking the truth. Again, here the sat and sang comes. That means the people who are like-minded are they seeking and they join as a group to attain the meaning of sat. Satsang referred only to gathering in the presence of the true enlightened being or Satguru. However, in the recent times, it has evolved to connotate any gathering in which spiritual reflection, discussion, meditation, or teaching takes place. Such spiritual discussions may involve kirtan, shabad, and or reflecting upon the mahima of God or Guru. That is what we try to do in the group satsangs wherever it is possible for us. But that itself is not sufficient. On page 146, he quotes Guru Nanak Ji. Guru Nanak Ji said in Punjabi, but I am reading it in English. The servant Nanak is the sacrifice to one who understands the Naam. That means if you have already given up yourself to the Naam and inspires others to understand it as well. How the satsang is to be known. There only the name of one Lord is chanted. The name of the Lord's command, O Nanak, the Satguru has given me this understanding. Satsang, as he says, is a true association in the company where only the Naam, the knowledge of the Absolute. Now, how true it is that this Naam is the knowledge of Absolute. We always generally use the word Naam in a very loosely fashioned way. But how he invokes our inner self and tells us the true meaning of the Naam, which is the knowledge about the Absolute. Of the truth is remembered without meeting this definition. Any company or any congregation is nothing more than a gathering of materialistic beings in pursuit of materialistic goals, Maya or delusion. So, when Raul Uncle is describing about the satsang by fellowship of like-minded people, he emphasizes that it has to be in the name of seeking the Naam, the ultimate truth. And it is not to be anything other than that. If it becomes anything other than that, that is materialistic and probably without any purpose. I can go on and on about what Rahul Uncle had described the collective satsang or the group satsang. But I just want to quote what he has written about, he has quoted about Sant Kabir. I wasted those days when I didn't meet good people. A person without love is a beast. There is no divinity without love. So when you meet people who are like-minded, who are in the equal pursuit of the absolute truth, you are together. You are in, your goal is same. And for those moments that you are together, you are trying to seek the ultimate truth. On page 148, I wish to read something very important that Rahul uncle has mentioned. That fellowship between people strengthens the magnetism of their association. A fellowship between people, that is what we're talking about, the Sangat. We're talking about the external satsang. That means one, of course, he has previously described as internal, but when we talk about the group satsang, he very emphatically says that fellowship between people strengthens the magnetism. And he quotes Lord Swami Paramahansa Yogananda in his book Whispers from Eternity. And these are very beautiful words and pearls of wisdom. And he further quotes that if such company is spiritual, such as in the presence of saint and devotees, then the aspirant will be more strongly magnetized along with the spiritual path. If the association is material, then the individual will feel the pull of material attachments. No, it's a very simple thing that Guruji always told that don't keep your mobile phones switched off. Well, I'm giving a very simplistic kind of an example that you are sitting in a satsang, you are focusing on attaining the meaning of the inner self, the common goal of trying to absorb the beauty and the spirituality of the Sabbath Kirtan. And suddenly your phone rings and you pick up the phone or your attention is diverted. That means you are basically not there where you should be. And that is what is ordained, that is not required. If you really want to do a good satsang, if you want to do a serious satsang, then it is necessary that you are with you, that you are with your own self. And then only you will be able to achieve the goal or the objective of any satsang. The relationship between individual, internal and within. So here he distinguishes between the internal and the external. And the external satsang in association of the Sad Sangat are a group of like-minded people sincerely following the spiritual path is quite intricate. Definitely, it is very intricate. The external satsang provides the true knowledge of the Atmagyan to the seeker. Now, here I fully agree with Raul uncle, and he has really opened my eyes. When he says that the person becomes fit to embark upon seeking the true source through the internal satsang. That means once you are in the external satsang, once you are able to focus, when you're able to engage yourself in an external satsang, you somehow or the other prepare yourself for the internal satsang. No, we all know that when we are sitting in front of our deity, in front of Guruji's room, in the morning for doing puja in whatever form we like it, we have so many distractions. But the moment we are able to use the vehicle of the external satsang to overcome those, we're able to kind of, focus on the divine. Then maybe when we are sitting alone for the internal satsang, and internal satsang is a very, very long way. External satsang actually stops where you exit that place, and its aura, its spirituality, its divinity lingers with you as long as you are alone. But the moment you leave that place and you kind of go to another place, go to your workplace, you go and start your activity as such, maybe the aura or the spirituality of the external satsang may not remain with you. But the internal satsang, as he emphasizes, is something which we have to prepare ourselves for. Now, the other kind of satsang is a gathering of followers of a religious or a spiritual guru or elevated soul and listening to the glory of the enlightened leader, either in the presence of the enlightened person or in the symbolic presence in the form of the Sarup or any other symbolism adopted by the followers. Now, this is where we are, uh, kind of try to achieve in our common satsang or external satsang. We we bring Guruji's Sarup in presence in the gathering. We do a certain amount of activity like decorating the darbar. Not that it matters to Guruji, but actually it prepares us and the Sangat for focusing on the external satsang. And once the Sabbath Kirtan starts, it is expected that all of us would align ourselves with the Shabad, with and kind of join with Guruji, as he said in the future, in the next thing. Now, the next part, Raul uncle describes what is Sangat. We have been discussing about satsang so far, but what is Sangat? Sangat is something which originates from the founding father of Sikhism, Guru Nanak's time. Satsang is an institution where the devotees gather in the name of God, Akal, the timeless Lord, and pray and sing Guru Nanak's hymns and partake in the Guru Ka Langar, where all sit together without distinction of caste and status. No, this is where Raul uncle tells us that in Sikhism, a lot of emphasis or importance is given to the external satsang. In Sikhism, worshipping and praying together by spiritually surcharged seekers. Now, the spiritually surcharged seekers means the Sangat. The Sangat is not merely a group of people who sit together and try to do some dhyan, but basically they are spiritually surcharged seekers, the Sangat, and is considered more rewarding than the isolated religious practices. No, these isolated religious practices can be taken in any form. It can be also taken as the internal satsang. But that is, I think, more of an individual practice because many of the Sikh families do a lot of the internal satsang in their own house, and they have designated a separate room where they can do the internal satsang also. The other associated ethical practices like engaging in acts of seva. Now, seva becomes a very important part of the Sikhism and the Sangat. And the seva is something which actually signifies the one of the tenets of Sikhism, and that is the shared values. And that probably is the founding or the biggest blessing of Guru Nanak Ji that whatever we do, it is to be done as a part of the community activity. And there, the seva is something very, very important. It further goes on to say whether it's serving langar, whether it is cleaning the shoe, whether it is cleaning the gurdwaras. It's all a part of this sangat. It is not that somebody who simply just from outside goes over there and performs an act of employment. It is an act of involvement. And the involvement is one of being as a part of the Sangat. The next one is Sangat and Satsang in the Guruji's system. Now, having learned about the Satsang and the Sangat, we now come to page 150, Sangat and the Satsang in Guruji's system. The communion of that happens between Sangat and Guruji is ethereal and and in total silence. It is not a discussion, it's not a discourse or a debate or a dialogue. Guruji used to say that discussion karan de naal jo hai rab nahi milda. Now, I want to cite my personal experience. When in 2004, I was diagnosed of cancer of prostate in very advanced stage. Apart from the medical remedy, my family members took me to various places of worship. But I couldn't find peace at any of those places, whether it is some mandir or some temple or some congregation. There's a pujari there, there's shor sharaba, and there are lots of people around you. It was only when I entered Chote Mandir on that life-changing moment that I found solace, I found comfort. I always say that मेरे को बहुत ही अरसे के बाद में ठंड पड़ी जो है because my life was so perturbed, we were so upset, we were so disturbed with this incidental discovery of uh, advanced stage of cancer of prostate that we didn't know what to do. So medical remedy was always there with I दिल्ली में जितने भी इंस्टीट्यूशन थे बॉम्बे में भी जितनी जगह थी घूम घाम के आए लौट के आए but internal peace was something very important. And as I entered Empire State and Chota Mandir, there was a pin drop silence. And the divine and the spiritual presence of Guruji took me like fish to water. And this is where uh, Raul Uncle also emphasizes that the communion that happens between the Sangat and the Guruji is in total silence and not a discussion. Guruji never preached. He spoke very few words, but he mended our soul. He mended our physical problems through other means. Guruji always emphasized मेरे नाल direct connection जोड़ के देखो. The human mind is full of wavering thoughts. Each moment you have several thoughts jumping from one subject to another. Once you have rid your mind of thoughts, you are relaxed. There is nothing to say. The ambience of so many people listening to this Sabbath and concentrating on Guruji with love, gratitude, sympathy, rapport enhances the holiness of the place. And this is what I always try to emphasize when I do my satsang that this part of the Guruji's darbar really attracted me. This is where it tied me to his darbar and the place in presence of Guruji, whether it is Guruji's mandir, whether we are this place in presence of Guruji, in all the tirthas is in all tirthas put together. The atmosphere in Guruji's mandir or the place where he holds satsang is replete with serenity. I think the word serenity has a lot of significance. The satsang invariably gets charged with positive energy. पाठ किधरे भी कर सकते हो ਕਰਦੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਕਮਰੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੱਬ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਟਾਇਲਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਜਾ now this is something where it becomes more like an internal satsang. But as Rahul uncle had said earlier, that you graduate from the external satsang to internal satsang. Now, there is always a special bonding among the members of Guruji's Sangat. No, we are now discussing about Sangat, sorry. Each member feels that they're a part of the big family. Guruji used to say that he has made them member of a bigger family. And Guruji's grace ensured that there was a harmony among the family members. The love and affection of Guruji for the disciple was added positive. He used to say, मैं अपने भगत नु बहुत प्यार करता. And he used to love his Sangat. So he has, I mean, today if we are discussing how we meet and do satsang, if I go to the US or any part of the world that Guruji enables me to travel, and if I find Guruji's Sangat there, is because there are people of like-mindedness. There are people who are the single most pursuit of Guruji's puja. And it is a larger family which started with the, I mean, Delhi and Punjab, and now this has actually spread all over the world. I mean, it was existing earlier, but to our knowledge, as we see now, because our vision is very, very limited. And it would be tough infer that congregation of Sangat at place of Guruji's stay during his physical stay qualifies as Sad Sangat or Satsang, as duly described by Sant Kabir and Guru Nanak. Guruji is divinity incarnate and the enlightened spiritual leader. Any association with Guruji when he was in physical form was the ultimate satsang. The magnetic pull of his divinity has immensely benefited thousands of devotees sincerely seeking the spiritual path. The spiritual seeking might be due to their previous karmic earnings, and this might have attained the spiritual to the varying spirituality to the varying degrees. Some have attained after coming in association with Guruji's divine presence and blessing showered on them. You know, every page of this book, and I have been assigned to read, is is like an enlightenment for me. And when I read it, I feel that my eyes are opening, my vision is getting broader. Moreover, divinity does not distinguish between the good and bad personalities. Now, this question was asked many a times in uh, from Guruji or within themselves by the Sangat, that many people who came to Guruji for Ashirvad and blessing, and they were not good people socially, politically, or any other form. We knew, I mean, I don't want to name the people, but frankly speaking, we all knew that some people came and we did not look at them in good light. And why Guruji accepted them? Why Guruji blessed them all? And this is where the Guruji used to say that his job is to bless everybody. His job is to cure everybody. And he says that their deeds may be profane, but the soul is pure. So he is blessing those people. Even though their deeds are profane, they are bad people in their deeds. But he said, my job is to bless them and to purify their souls. He also quotes Jagmohan Bhasin uncle, who used to say that Guruji's Sangat is like Shivji ki Barat. And Shivji ki Barat, as he has described, was full of the Devtas, Updevtas, the Yakshas, the Sadhus, the Rishis, and also the Kinnars, the ghosts, the devils. And this is how Guruji's darbar was best kind of described by Jagmohan Bhasin Uncle, as has been quoted by uh, Rahul Uncle. Now, the Sangat can be categorized by has been categorized by Bhai Harinder Singh from Jagadri in his Shabad Mere Hirde mein Hirde te Vaheguru da naam likh do. And he says in his Vyakhya that Sangat can be categorized in four different categories: Unge, Sunge, Chunge, and Lunge. उनके तो वो होते हैं जो दिन भर में अपना काम करके जिनको जो थक जाते हैं दे कम देयर दे फाइंड कंफर्ट दे फाइंड solace they come there maybe even as he says that the category of satsang comes from they were finishing their job, maybe a housewife, maybe a kind of a businessman or an office goer, and it comes to Guruji's Darbar. They leave their daily troubles and tribulations and struggles back home. The serene, peaceful, and soothing atmosphere at the place of Sangat makes them forget the worldly affairs and making them immediately fall asleep. And they wake up only when the Sevadar shakes them up and offers Prada Prasad. The second category is Sunge, who come to observe who is the part of this congregation. They have either social needs of interaction or economic agenda. And the third category is called Chunge. Chunge are the people who really are kind of, not deep delving. They are there in the satsang. They absorb each and every part, every word of Shabad Kirtan. They observe total silence. They observe the total protocol. They devour and they savor, rather, or not they devour, they savor the langar as a prasad. And they are the people who are called chunge. And the last one is dunge. That category is very difficult to achieve. The people who immerse themselves totally into the Guru Seva, and as he also quoted, Shiv Puran also describes four kind of devotees or bhaktas as Artha, Jigyasu, uh, Atarthi, and Jnani. Most of the Sangat falls in the first three categories. The true followers of Guruji. Of course, some Sangat who belong to the first three subsequently graduate to the fourth category, realizing the divinity of Guruji. It is a dynamic process of involvement of the spiritual journey. As our uncle had previously said, that we transcend from the external satsang to the internal satsang. So this is where some people from the first three categories become jnani and they transcend to the fourth category, that is the dungi. Guruji, in his characteristic word, would talk about uh, the Sangat. He would jokingly say that daily Sangat is fond of allopathic solutions. Oh, this is something which, and I also observed that many people who came to Guruji's Darbar, they came for quick solutions, the quick fixes that we come there, we pray to Guruji, we have langar, or we come 2 or 3 times, and then thereafter we ask Guruji what we actually wanted. And that was the end of their, I would say, association or mental uh, connect with Guruji. But that was his choice. He made the choice. He knew what kind of person he was blessing. He blessed many people in general. But जिनको गुरुजी ने ठीक किया, जिनके प्रॉब्लम्स को दूर किया है, वो उन्होंने जैसे पहले कहा है कि पूर्व जन्म के जो कर्म थे उसके बेसिस पे गुरुजी ने किया है. We are not here to discuss how he chose to bless not all but a select few of people. And Guruji was also emphatic about characteristics of some true seekers and devotees. He would say that true seeker would never ask for anything from an enlightened master like him. On the other hand, they were supposed to be complete. They were supposed to completely surrender to Guruji with all sincerity to seek God. His bywords in the connections are मंगदे नहीं मनो जो है मेरे से मांगो नहीं मेरे को मानो ये मांगोगे तो फिर ये मांग के लेता तो फिर की लेता जो है जिस तरह हम लोग गुरु जी के पास जाते थे और we had gone with a certain amount of expectation. I must say, in my case, it was definitely a case of emergency because I was diagnosed of advanced stage of cancer, and my brother-in-law, General Deepak Malhotra, and his very pious Sudarsh, his wife, Auntie Sudarsh Malhotra, who was very kind to me and guiding me on a day-to-day basis, took us to Guruji's Darbar. And there I got cured. My family, as Masan uncle said, I have my own very long satsang, but I don't want to kind of, discuss that now. But what I want to say is that it is the discretion of Guruji. This is probably a balance of our karmic karmas of the previous. I even don't want to discuss that. I mean, how he chose people, why he chose people, it is not for us to kind of, discuss. We are nobody. We are nobody to kind of, even discuss as to how he chose people. But he chose me. Sometimes he provided quick fix to people who were in need of an emergency. But sometimes people came and they did not find what they wanted. But they wanted everything. There was a proper time for that, and they did not wait for that time. They left disappointed. Guruji said, जिस तरह ਮਿੱਟੀ ਦੇ ਬਰਤਨ ਖਰੀਦਣ ਦੇ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਠੋਕ ਕੇ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਕਿਥੇ ਕੱਚਾ ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਉसी तरह मैं ठोक के पूरी तसल्ली करना के भगत बनाऊं के ना बनाऊं के पक्के तसल्ली करके भगत बनाओ हाँ that means he chose his संगत and he said that पहले तो मैं संगत को चूज करता हूँ उसके बाद में जो है मैं उनका टेस्ट लेता हूँ मेरी संगत विच कौन किस क्लास विच है ठोक के सिर्फ मैनू ही पता है एक महापुरुष दी सीक्रेट हुंदी है मैं 8 पौड़ियां फटाफट चढ़ा के देना हाँ नवी पौड़ी ते आके मैं फिर पिछली हथ पौड़ियां खिंच लेना जिन्हें अहंकार किया है और ठीक है वरना बंदा अहंकार दे मारे फिर पहली पौड़ी ते आके आ जाता है that means Guruji always said that people come to me and he chose his sangat he chose whom to bless and when to bless and where to bless and how much to bless and he also said that okay, when the sangat comes to me I choose them I test them. First of all, I choose them, I select them, like when we are buying an earthenware. Then we उसको ठोक के बजा के हम देखते हैं कहीं से वो कच्चा तो नहीं है कहीं से टूटा तो नहीं है उसी तरह मैं संगत को चूज करता हूँ लेकिन उसके बाद में मैं जो है नींबू की तरह निचोड़ के मैं उनका टेस्ट लेता हूँ एक शब्द में ये भी कहा गया है कि गुरु की सेवा जो है खंडे की तार पे चलने वाली बात है। अगर आप उसमें पास हो जाते हो तो गुरु, यू आर accepted, you are welcome, but it's a very difficult task for a guru to accept. He may allow you, but to accept you, to bless you with his divine blessings is something is unto him. The testing of the disciple has been aptly described in the Shiv Puran. As I mentioned earlier, that Rahul uncle has an immense and in-depth knowledge of various Purans and the divine people and their writings. And here he quotes the Vayaviha Samhita of the Shiv Puran and Shloka 14, 15, and 19. And chapter 15, Shloka 14 says, hence observing the symbols of securing Shakti, the perceptor, that is the God, shall purify and consecrate the disciple either by knowledge or by means of right. Whether the God blesses, the Guru blesses through rites, the religious rites, or through knowledge. As Sloka 15 says, hence the preceptor, the Guru, shall test the disciple in every respect. So, first of all, the Guru selects and then he tests. And the Sloka 19 says, the test of disciple has in view of his worthiness of being taught. Now, after the test is passed, then the tested disciple has the worthiness of being taught. The atmosphere of satsang in the physical presence of Guruji was always eternal. Guruji would sit majestically on the asana. Guruji loved to distribute prasad to Sangat with his own hands, irrespective of the size of the congregation. Most of the times, it would be sweets or dry fruits mixed with mishri, or occasionally beer, mangoes, and chocolate. The prasad was to be eaten then and there, as they were the blessings and medicine for the devotees suffering from various ailments. Langar te chai prasad which meri blessings ne. And he always emphasized that you take every drop, every speck of the langar and the chai prasad. He has cured many people, many of the disciples, only by either Sabad Kirtan or through the langar prasad. And the Shabad Kirtan again was something which was uh, with the permission of Guruji. Though the beautiful rendering of Shabad from Gurbani and by famous Ragis was added to the ambience of already radiant with Guruji's divine presence, the Shabads were carefully selected by DJ Uncle Sardar Ayendra Singh. DJ Uncle would source several cassettes from market, would conduct preliminary screening of the suburbs, then he would record them in a blank cassette. Sometimes he would play it for Guruji, who would approve or reject. At other times, other times DJ Uncle would be playing a particular singer or Shabad for satsang. When Guruji would direct him to stop and play another cassette. No, this is something we all acknowledge that many of us found answers to our doubts uh, and confusion in life by very first, part of the gathering or the Sangha. That is, as we entered Guruji's Darbar, there used to be a Sabbath Kirtan playing. The turmoil, the confusion, the problem that we are facing, half of it, and many a time we would find the answer from the Sabbath Kirtan. They were so carefully, meticulously, spiritually selected by Guruji. And each and every Shabad was a part of the pearls of wisdom that oozed in his presence. There would be many a query built in their mind before coming to satsang. Sometimes they would pray to Guruji silently to show the right path. Then DJ uncle would play a particular Shabad that would answer their queries and clear their doubts and provide the right path to move forward. They need not bother Guruji for all the clarifications. It was Guruji's way to connect with satsang, with sangat through medium of Sabad. Now, I'm coming to the last part of this chapter. In most of these satsangs, the Sabad Kirtan, Chai Prasad, Langar Prasad, etc. are replicated. Guruji used to term rendering of experiences of Sangat relating to their association with Guruji as Satsang. It fitted with the Sadh Sangat's definition of Satsang, except that Sadh himself asked the devotee to narrate the experience of in his presence. Now, most of the Satsang fall into the kind of rendering of the devotee's experience during or after Guruji left the physical body. The material gains by the grace and blessing of Guruji are immaterial. The internalization of blessings leading to the higher spiritual path is a sense of the rendering. We can do better by elevating the association of good people or fellowship with truth by delving into the philosophy, teaching, life history, and glory of Guruji, rather than focusing on the material gains because we followed Guruji. In many ways, I think I kind of I feel it's echoing my thought because when we do Guruji's satsang, I connect with Guruji. I don't forget. It kind of invokes an internal audit system into me. That have I done the right thing? And we when we chant and when we recite, not chant rather, when we recite the blessings of Guruji, we are again reminding ourselves that don't lose the connect, remain connected to Guruji. And the supernatural powers or the miracles are a part and parcel of the enlightened masters like Guruji. Now here Raul uncle, sums up the entire discussion, the entire narrative, the beautiful chapter that he has, uh, you know, created, tailored together. And the supernatural powers or the miracles are a part and parcel of the enlightened masters like Guruji. These miracles or supernatural powers were occasionally demonstrated to make people realize the existence of the higher forces or the supreme being. It is possible to attain some of these powers by yogic practices or sadhaks or by devotees themselves. Such attainments is possible for any human being. But Guruji was beyond those miracles and demonstration of supernatural powers. The last paragraph is something which I bow to Raul Uncle to what he has said. That in God's creation, millions of miracles happen every day. As Paulo Coelho says, when you want something, the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. But in other words, when you are sincerely motivated to attain something and pursue it, all the universe forces of nature conspire in helping you to achieve it. Even if people are not the followers of Guruji or any god, they experience miracles. This is the gist of the whole thing. But limiting Guruji to the miracles or exhibitions of supernatural powers is like straitjacketing him as an ordinary sadhak rather than a divine incarnate. So this, I think, defines our relationship with Guruji, or the Sangat and the Satsang. I repeat again, Guruji is ever present today. Many of his followers experience his presence by way of fragrance, but beyond that, let the materialistic gains be downplayed and his human, spiritual, and philosophical aspects be emphasized. Before I conclude, I just want to read the last paragraph again. That even if people are not followers of Guruji, no, Guruji actually didn't like the word miracle. ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਇੱਥੇ ਜੋ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ practical ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ. And he didn't like the word miracles because miracles can be, carried and performed by anyone who is a sadhak or who is a sadhu or he is an ordinary human being also. So even if people are not followers of Guruji or any god, they experience miracles. But limiting Guruji to the miracles or exhibitions of supernatural powers is like straitjacketing him as an ordinary sadhak. We can't just say that just because he performed some miracles, उन्होंने दिव्य प्रसाद दे दिया या कुछ और लोगों को बताया या कुछ उनको ब्लेस किया किसी और तरीके से. But that was not the miracles. That was not the end of it. So anybody probably who was a sadhak could do it. And we have to accept him as a divine incarnate, as Lord Shiv, as Shivji, and we have to pray to Guruji each and every day to bless us as we pray to Lord Shiva. I apologize if I made any errors in my presentation, in my reading, and my understanding of this beautiful chapter of this very nice book. And I again want to thank Vasan uncle and especially Raul uncle for this opportunity. Jai Guruji. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Makhija uncle. I'll request ANSHU ATREJA auntie to please initiate.
Jai Guruji, am I audible, uncle?
You are audible.
Jai Guruji, Shukrana Guruji. Thank you for this blessed opportunity. All thanks to Guruji Maharaj. First of all, I would like to congratulate Raul uncle for penning down such a profound and spiritually elevated book. Heartiest congratulations, Raul uncle. Thank you, Multilingual Global Sevadas team, for this blessed seva. Nadar Kareta Simrya Jai. I really thank Guruji for blessing me for this beautiful seva. Thank you, Guruji. Every page of this book reflects depth, devotion, and wisdom, touching the heart and inspiring the soul. Before sharing my part, I would like to mention that I was drawn into Guruji's charan in the year 2019. Though I could not meet Guruji in his physical form, but the countless experiences that Guruji has made me realize that he is always there. He is blessing his Sangat and he is our protecting shield. I feel truly blessed to serve as the interventionist in today's reading session of Guruji's divine book, Guruji Life and Spiritualism, pages 144 to 154. I seek Guruji's blessings for a smooth and meaningful session. This book is not just a narration, it is a soulful journey. The way the author has presented Guruji's life and teachings is both profound and heart-touching. Every word resonates with Satya and Bhakti, leaving a lasting impact on readers who wish to understand Guruji's divinity and the depth of his spiritual guidance. This book imparts timeless wisdom to its readers, especially the new generation. With that said, I shall now move to the responsibility given to me to critically reflect upon and share insights on what has been read today. But before that, I thank Makhija uncle, who has already covered the major aspect. You have made the task easy for me, uncle. First of all, I'll focus on the title of the chapter. The title, Sangat and Satsang, is very appropriate because it captures both the social and spiritual aspects of individual and collective practice in spirituality. Coming to the main part, I have divided this portion into 5 parts that are: number 1, conceptual clarity and depth; number 2, the interplay of individual and group satsang; number 3, satsang in Sikhism and Guruji's system; number 4, categorization of Sangat members; and number 5, strengths of the chapter. So, I'll explain these points one by one for the better understanding of the listeners. Conceptual clarity and depth. The chapter does a commendable job of tracing the roots of Sang and Sat in Sanskrit and linking them with spiritual fellowship and truth. By distinguishing between internal satsang and external satsang, the text offers a holistic framework, one focusing on inner purification and the other on collective upliftment. The references to Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, Kabir, Shankaracharya, Gurbani, and Yogananda add authenticity and show how universal the idea of satsang is across traditions. Before I move on to the second point, I just want the Sangat to reflect on this. When we hear the words Sangat and Satsang, what comes to our mind? Company of people or connection with truth? I repeat, when we hear the words Sangat and Satsang, what comes to our mind? Company of people or connection with truth? Moving on to the second point, the interplay of individual and group satsang. A strong point is the recognition of the interdependence between internal and external satsangs. The group provides knowledge and collective energy, while the individual practice internalizes it. Both are incomplete without each other. The inner search strengthens the outer gathering, and the outer gathering inspires the inner search. One feeds the other. The chapter insightfully notes that one who attains realization individually can radiate energy to the Sangat, reversing the flow. Sangatji, here I want to specially focus on lines on page number 145 by Osho Satsang Meditation Center. Satsang meant the company of one's self, of the truth, and that the truth was not to be found outside, it is inside you, and if you wish to attain it, seek your own company. So basically हमें अपने अंदर झांकना है. जिस सच की तलाश हम बाहर कर रहे हैं, वो हमने काफी शब्दों में भी सुना है, वो सच हमारे अंदर ही है. Then on page number 146, a line that captured my attention is asatsang, that is, non-satsang is the greatest hindrance to spirituality. Not every gathering qualifies as satsang if people come only for socializing, material gain, or just rituals. Here we as Sangat need to evaluate, are we truly engaging in satsang or unknowingly trapped in a satsang? Very good question. I think even I as a Sangat, while I was reading this book, even I read those lines, and those lines were really an inspiration, especially this line, a satsang is the greatest hindrance to spirituality. Sometimes even in today's scenario, I have found that a few of the satsangs where people gather just that they want to meet other people. मैंने काफी सत्संग में भी सुना है कि गुरुजी कहते हैं कि संगत सिर्फ मुट्ठी भर होगी, बाकी तो सिर्फ भीड़ होगी. तो हम पूरी कोशिश करें कि हम गुरुजी की वो मुट्ठी भर संगत बन पाए. Moving to the third point, Sangat in Sikhism and Guruji's system. The Sikh perspective on Sangat as introduced by Guru Nanak Dev Ji, emphasizing equality, langar, and seva, is explained well. It highlights the ethical training that Sangat provides, not just spiritual elevation. Guruji's system. On pages 150 and 151, Raul Uncle has aptly quoted few of Guruji's wordings, which are discussion ਕਰਨ ਨਾਲ ਰੱਬ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਦਾ, ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟ ਕਨੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਜੋੜੋ, ਪਾਠ ਕਿਧਰੇ ਵੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, ਘਰ ਦੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਕਮਰੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੱਬ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, ਟਾਇਲਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ, ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਭਗਤ ਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਪਿਆਰ ਕਰਦਾ. So these quotes are clearly stating Guruji's approach, that is silence, surrender, direct communion beyond rituals, offers a refreshing contrast to traditional ritualistic practices. His idea that God can be remembered anywhere underlines the democratization of spirituality. And what was most beautiful, in his Sangat, everyone was welcome without any discrimination, as aptly mentioned on page number 153, शिवजी की बारात, जिसमें देवताओं से लेके राक्षस तक सभी उपस्थित थे. Few lines on page number 152 that really touched my heart, and I have learned a lot. Before judging people, we have to understand this thing. It is the wheel of Maya that leads the individual to profane activities. The deeds may be profane, but the soul is pure. Hence, when you equate individual souls with their deeds, you commit the greatest blunder. So, I think we are nobody to judge. Now, let's move on to the next point. Point number 4, categorization of Sangat members. The real Satsangi is the one who asks for the asal cheez, the essence, not material favors. मैंने काफी पुरानी संगत के सत्संग में भी सुना है, गुरुजी कहते थे और शायद बहुत दुखी होते थे कि मेरे को कोई असल चीज नहीं मंगन आंदा, सबको मटेरियल चीजों की पड़ी हुई है, मैं जो देना चाहता हाँ वो कोई मंगदा ही नहीं. वो शायद आज इस बुक ने मुझे बहुत ही अच्छे से समझाया कि गुरुजी से डायरेक्ट कनेक्शन, गुरुजी से गुरुजी को ही पाना, वही असली प्यार है गुरुजी के लिए, वही शायद असली डिवोशन है गुरुजी के लिए. Categorization of Sangat members. I repeat, the real Satsangi is the one who asks for the asal cheez, the essence, not material favors. The classification of Sangat into Unge, Sunge, Chunge, and Dunge is particularly useful. It recognizes that not everyone in a spiritual gathering comes with the same intent. Linking these categories with the 4 types of bhagats in the Shiv Puran further universalizes the typology. Point number 5, I am coming to the strengths of the chapter from pages 144 to 154. Moving ahead, I'll focus on the strengths of the chapter, which are: number 1, the chapter is rich in scriptural references and cross-traditional parallels. Number 2, it integrates philosophy with practical aspects like seva, langar, prayer, anywhere. Number 3, it recognizes the dangers of asatsang and superficial gatherings that pretend as spiritual. Number 4, it balances universal principles with specific applications in Sikh and Guruji's tradition. With this, we come to the conclusion of today's soulful session. The chapter Sangat and Satsang is a rich, multi-layered exposition that successfully explains the spiritual, ethical, and communal aspects of Satsang. The text compels us to see Satsang not just as a ritual gathering, but as a transformative practice of truth-seeking within oneself and with others. गुरु बिन घोर अंधार, गुरु बिन समझ न आवे. गुरु को पाके ही सीखा जा सकता है, और ये बिल्कुल सच है. मैंने भी ये शायद महसूस किया है जब से गुरुजी लाइफ में आए हैं, बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिला है. ऐसा लगता है कि गुरुजी ने हर चीज को अब हमें इस तरह से दिखाना शुरू कर दिया है कि जो हो रहा है उनकी मर्जी के अनुसार ही हो रहा है, हमें सोचने की जरूरत नहीं है। तो वो जो हम छोटी छोटी बातों को लेके फिक्र करते थे, टेंशन करते थे, वो पहले से बहुत कम हो गया है। So we are fortunate that we are under our beloved Guruji's Charan Sharan. Once again, my heartfelt gratitude to Raul uncle and Vasan uncle for trusting me with the role of an interventionist. Thank you to the entire Sangat for joining in with so much devotion. If at any point I have fallen short in fulfilling my role, I humbly seek your forgiveness. Jai Guruji. Thank you once again, Raul uncle, for such a lovely book. Thank you.
Jai Guruji. Over to you, Rahul uncle.
जय गुरु जी। गुरु जी को कोटि कोटि प्रणाम। आज हाजिर हुए सारे संगत को भी तहे दिल से प्रणाम। आज इस सेशन में मखीजा अंकल और अंशु आंटी बोथ जो किताब की रीडिंग किए और जो एनालिसिस किए, बहुत अच्छा है। आई एम हाईली इम्प्रेस्ड। ये गुरु जी के जो सेवा उनको मिला है वो काफ़ी सही ढंग से और सही तरीके से निभाए हैं। मेरे तरफ से मैं थोड़ी सी ऐड करूँगा कि ये जो चैप्टर में हम संगत और सत्संग के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, इसका काफ़ी स्पिरिचुअल मीनिंग है और वो मीनिंग को भी दोनों जो एनालिस्ट और इंटरवेंशनिस्ट दोनों समझाए हैं। मैं थोड़ा उसमें ऐड करूँगा। इसमें दो कैटेगरी के सत्संग के बारे में बताया गया। एक है इंडिविजुअल सत्संग, एक ग्रुप सत्संग। बट दोनों का मतलब है कि बीइंग विथ ट्रूथ इज कॉल्ड सत्संग। जो व्याख्या भी किया गया सत और संग। सत क्या है? द अल्टीमेट ट्रूथ इज ऑलमाइटी गॉड। बीइंग इन कम्युनियन विथ सुप्रीम सोल इज सत्संग। रब दे नाल जोड़ना ही सत्संग है। ये रब दे नाल जोड़ना किस तरीके से? गुरु जी बोलते थे कि रब दे नाल जोड़ना, तुहानू रब दे नाल जोड़ना मेरा मकसद है। ये जो जोड़ना है, जो कम्युनियन है, स्पिरिचुअल कम्युनियन है, ये इंटीग्रेटेड थ्री फोल्ड कम्युनियन है। ये जो थ्री फोल्ड कम्युनियन है, इसको तीन कैटेगरी के योग बताया जाता है। योग इज कम्युनियन, कनेक्शन विथ गॉड। The first one is Jnana Yoga, second one is Karma Yoga, third one is Bhakti Yoga. The threefold path are not independent of each other. Being satsang means being spiritual in the right sense. अभी हम ज्ञान योग के बारे में बात करते हैं कि being in the right knowledge about the omniscient, omnipotent and omnipresent nature of a Lord, realizing or internalizing the presence of God in all the creation, everywhere, every moment is a right knowledge that is called Jnana Yoga. This is what is called Brahma Gyan in Upanishads. This is what Guruji used to say, positive thinking, think and realize the right knowledge. This is what Guruji was hinting that आप असली चीज मांगो, the real thing. Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 13, Shloka 12 has detailed about this, terming it as तत्व ज्ञान। उपनिषद में बताया गया ब्रह्म ज्ञान, गुरुजी बोले असल चीज, and in Bhagavad Gita it was called तत्व ज्ञान। It is opposed to avidya, agyan, comfortable about the self-knowledge that Rob Tuade andar hai, and Rob is the God is everywhere, is Tattva Gyan, absolute truth. If this you realize, then you are a satsangi. The second space of this communion with God is your activity space. When you realizing and internalizing the right knowledge about the Lord Almighty, keeping in mind all the time, carrying out your niyat karma is karma yoga. Communion with Lord through the right kind of activities. Niyat karma is a sat karma, which can be earning a living in right manner, sharing what has been given by God to you with other living creations. Chapter 2, verse 47 of Gita talks about Niyat Karma and Karma Yoga. Recollect the famous saying, Karmanye badhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachan. This is the dispassion. Guruji bolte the vairagya to the fruits of your karma. A lot of your daily activities should align with this kind of spiritual path. Lord Krishna, in this chapter, in verses or slokas 8 to 10, describes the niyat karma. Karma is not only carrying activities, it is the accompaniment of your behavior, your attitude, how you are carrying your persona in day-to-day life. If we elaborate, the sloka 13.8 in Gita says, humility, simplicity, harmlessness, forgiveness, self-control, service to Guru, purity and steadfastness are some characteristics of a satsangi. 13.9 says, dispassion, that is vairagya, towards the sense objects, absence of ahankar. 13.10 says, non-attachment, again vairagya, non-infatuation with kith and kin, objects and places, eternal equanimity towards desirable, undesirable objects and persons. That means you have no kind of deviation in your reactions towards desirable and undesirable objects and persons. The third communion, spiritual communion with God, comes through Bhakti Yoga. After realizing the truth about the Lord, carrying out your niyat karma, you spend time in remembering the Lord all the time, in all states of your awareness, and even in your unconscious stage. Our ancients say that unconscious stage is the Sushupti stage, and other stages are Shayan, Jagaran, and Swapna. In all the stages, you remember and sing the glory of Lord. It is like you are in love with a beloved. It is the lover of Radha for Krishna. It is the love of Radha for Krishna. It is the love of the gopis for Krishna. It is immersing in love with the Lord like Mirabai. It is the love of Arjun for Krishna Vasudeva. The unwavering devotion to Lord is Bhakti Yoga. As it is said, all three paths being in communion with the Lord, Rabdenal Jorna, are interrelated. This is the spiritual path which Guru has guided us. The ultimate is the stage where you do not distinguish between you and the ultimate reality, that is Paramatma. Some call it moksha, some call it nirvana, others call it Kaivalya Samadhi. So, being in the realm of threefold spiritual path, individually or along with a group of followers of a Guruji or God, is what is called satsang. Sang with sat or sang with sad. The three spaces, mind space, that is your gyan, karma, that is your activity field, and bhakti, all are part of satsang. The institutional or formal satsang in spiritual traditions of Sikhism or in Guruji's tradition are only the medium, the forum to be individually or in a group or on the path of spiritualism, a journey towards ultimate satsang, that is the merging or mingling with to be part of ultimate truth, the Lord. These frameworks help the spiritual followers to graduate from one stage to higher stage of being spiritual. When your threefold integration is not attained, you are not in a satsang in the real sense. If your spiritual agyan leads you to hate the practitioners of another faith, another way of a spiritual path, prescribed in another tradition, you miss the samyak gyan for avidya, false knowledge. Why should there be hatred towards any creation of Lord? If your activities, that is karma yoga, is not the samyak way for the right way of earning or sharing the bounty of Lord with others, when you exploit others and unnecessarily exploit the natural resources for the greed of acquiring and accumulating, you are not a satsangi. When you do not have time to remember the glory of God, when you do not have time to sing or listen to glory of God, you are not a satsangi. Remember the epic Mahabharata, the royal court of King Duryodhana, when Draupadi was disrobed by Dushasan. The esteemed stalwarts of the Kuru Rajasabha kept mum. Are they satsangis? When you are part of a system and you find something aberrant activity is being taken place and you keep mum, lest your comfort zone is disturbed. Like people say, Sanu ki, what is for me? Then you are not a satsangi. All your thinking, activity, singing and listening should align with the right knowledge about the omnipotent, omniscient and omnipresent Lord. Then you are a satsangi. At the end, if you go to a satsang or you are in individual satsang mode at home or in a mandir, gurudwar or masjid or a church, when your three spiritual ways do not become an integrated whole, they do not align with a harmonious togetherness, then you are coming to satsang not for spiritual seeking, for something else. I leave it to you. You decide yourself. When you are part of a so-called satsang, are you for spiritual seeking or for socialization like in a kitty party, for networking or to escape from the troubles or travels of a humdrum of daily life? Maybe it is for both spiritual seeking as well as socializing or for material gain. If it is for both, then which is dominant, the spiritual or the non-spiritual part? I leave it to you. So this much I wanted to add to the essence or the theme of the chapter. Again, I thank profusely to Mr. MAKHIJA and ANSHU, Auntie, both of them. They did extremely well. And I also thank Vasan uncle and the multilingual satsang team and the Sangat who are present today listening to the analysis of this chapter. Jai Guruji.
जय गुरु जी महाराज।
जय गुरु जी।
जो बाद में अभी बताया है संगत जी को, आपने एक बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन छोड़ दिया है समाज के ऊपर, गुरु संगत के ऊपर। नाउ दे हैव टू डिसाइड। यू हैव लेफ्ट अ वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन। दे हैव टू एनालाइज देमसेल्फ एंड decide themselves what they want.
वासन अंकल, आपका एक सेशन में सुन रहा था कोई आंटी के साथ। अगले जो सेशन में मैं उसको थोड़ा एनालाइज करके बताऊंगा। यू हैड आल्सो आस्क्ड कि आजकल सत्संग के क्या तरीका अपनाया गया है, तो उसके बारे में अगले सेशन में बताऊंगा।
श्योर अंकल। मल्टीलिंगुअल ग्लोबल टीम की तरफ से आप सबको आभार। मखीजा अंकल, अंजू, मैं अंजू, आपको आंटी नहीं बोलूंगा, अंजू, अंजू, राहुल अंकल और संगत जी को ये बताना चाहता हूँ कि नेक्स्ट सेशन जो है वो 27 सितंबर को होगा। उसमें संगत एंड सत्संग का सेकंड पार्ट पढ़ा जाएगा। भावेश पांडे अंकल जी और रिम्पल ग्रेवाल आंटी वो सेशन को मैनेज करेंगी, अपार्ट फ्रॉम राहुल अंकल। और बहुत ही अच्छे अच्छे संगत शेयरिंग नेक्स्ट वीक होने वाली हैं। इसी के साथ ही गुरु परिवार की तरफ से, गुरु महाराज की तरफ से आप सबको आशीर्वाद, गुरु संगत पर गुरु महाराज की कृपा बनी रहे। इसी के साथ ही हम सब गुरु महाराज जी से आज्ञा लेंगे। जय गुरु जी, राणा गुरु जी।